Hello. Okay, I'm gonna wait for just a second. Sorry guys, my Zoom isn't wanting to work and I don't know why. Our Wi-Fi is really good here, so I'm not sure. Not sure, but that's okay. So this is the Monday night meetup, and I think actually I might just start doing this as live instead of Zoom. I like lives better than Zooms. I feel like they're easier to actually interact on. Zooms, typically people don't want to unmute and talk. They'd rather type in the chat, which I totally get, but then those chats are gone because when you upload it to YouTube, you can't see any of the stuff that was asked or any of the comments. So I think I'm actually going to start doing them as live. I don't know. What do you guys prefer? Drop in the comments. Would you rather it be a Zoom or would you rather it be a live? Because I know everyone has kind of like their own preference. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so originally I was going to just talk about motivation and kind of the 3 stages of business and how to stay motivated during all of those. And by the way, this works for both traditional business and network marketing. So either side of the coin, this specific topic is for you. Now the exception is I had one person in the chat ask me how to stay motivated when people basically just ignore you or block you when you're messaging. And she specifically was talking about cold messaging. So I want to just give a few tips on cold messaging and how I got them to work for me in the beginning of my business, and the tips I would still share for anybody who's wanting to cold message. It's not letting me see who's on here, but hi to those of you watching. So I want to share a few tips. So if you don't cold message, that's totally fine. These tips would not be for you. Give me about 5 minutes and we will get into the motivation side of things. But the reason I wanted to touch on this is because one person asked in the chat, and then almost immediately 6 other people messaged me and said, I need to know that too. I'm cold messaging and I'm getting a lot of people not to respond. So I feel like if 1 or 2 people ask, then it's something that probably a lot of people are thinking and they're just not wanting to say it out loud because they don't want to draw attention to themselves. And I get that. I have definitely been there. So tips on cold messaging before we get started. So first off, drop me a 1 in the comments if you've ever felt like you cold message and nobody responds. Maybe you're like, I don't cold message, but sometimes I send host-to-post messages, or sometimes I randomly, I don't even know, whatever, however you're getting your leads, however you're messaging, and you get discouraged when they don't respond. So I'm going to tell you, you can't control that. I would absolutely read the book Go for No by Ray Higdon and somebody else. I don't remember the other author. But basically he talks about really not being attached to the outcome and just being attached to the action. Now, having said that, I would worry about the outcome, I guess, if you are not getting any progress and you have been messaging for a while. But I wouldn't worry about it in the beginning because you're still learning the system and you're still learning how to respond back and forth to people. Now, I'm going to be honest. Personally, I found a way to create a lead magnet and a lead funnel instead of cold messaging. Now, if you want a cold message, you have to have incredibly thick skin. I will tell you, and I've got notes here, cold messaging does work, and there is a way to do it that's not spammy, but you're still always going to have those people that are rude to you when you cold message. And you know what, guys? If you're cold messaging and it's working for you, those people are rude to you, too bad, so sad. They're not paying your bills. I fully stand by that statement. However, if it does bother you and you really don't want to do it, find a different way. There are plenty of ways to bring in leads that don't involve cold messaging. And that's something I talk about on the BossMom Co quite a bit. So if you're looking for a way to bring in leads without cold messaging, that's an option as well. Now, if you're looking to make money right now, you do not have a brand, you do not have a lead magnet, and I'm talking like do or die, you've got to make money with this right now, I would say cold messaging is a good route to start with, regardless if you have thick skin or not. But you're going to have to tell yourself, it's a means to an end, I'm probably not going to like it, but I'm going to see results with it, I'm going to get sales, and I'm going to make enough money to where I can justify putting the time into this while I'm learning how to get leads a different way. And I'm just being totally honest with you guys. If you have no warm market, your host-to-post is not taking off, then cold messaging may be your option. And that was my option when I started. Now, luckily, we have lots and lots of trainings on other things now. But when I started, there was no training on anything. Cold messaging was the only option, and it was pushed by everybody. It's so weird. I usually can see names, and I can't see you guys. So let me give you a few tips to make cold messaging work and to make it less spammy. Now, let me see if I can put a comment in here real quick. Yes. Okay, so I am dropping all of my links. Now I can see, that is so weird. I must be really delayed because now I'm seeing your guys' comments come through. I just dropped a comment in the chat that has all the links I'm going to talk about. So the first one that I want you to look at, I think, is the one at the very bottom, and that is all of my cold messaging scripts. I dropped the board down there for you. So you are more than welcome to use those if you would like. I don't know why there's a red check by my name, or red heart or something. Use those if you like. At least look through them. First tip I would give you is lead with the business, possibly the product. I would not lead with host-to-post. Typically, it does not get amazing results leading with host-to-post unless you are asking hundreds of people every couple of days. Now, if you are leading with host-to-post and it's working for you, just ignore what I just said. I will never tell someone to stop doing what they're doing if it's working and they're seeing results. I am talking to those of y'all who are not seeing results. Lead with the business. The reason I lead with the business is because then it's very easy to flip them into a customer, or at the very least, host-to-post. Let me read the business message that I lead with. And there's a couple different ways to do this. I'm going to read the one that I actually use, and I'm going to read the one I used to use before I had a website. Now, if you have a website of your own, I'm not talking about It Works, like your own website, then you can lead with the one that I'm doing. If not, you just simply don't add your link in there. So here's the one without a link. It's very short, sweet, to the point. You want to keep it like this. It says, hey, and then you add their name. You always want to add their name. You want it to be personal. I know you don't know me. Address the elephant in the room. Guys, you're reaching out to someone that doesn't know you. Let them know that. Otherwise, what's going to happen is they're going to respond back and say, do I know you? So all you're doing is taking that off the table. You're not going to waste their time. You're not going to waste your time. I know you don't know me, but you've popped up in my feed several times, so I figured I'd reach out. Personally, I do not say I love your page. You have super cute kids. I probably didn't look at their page. If I'm cold messaging, I'm not looking at their profile. So I'm just telling you, I do not say that because it comes off as very ingenuine, especially if they're in another network marketing company and you didn't even look at their page to tell. Now, whole nother soapbox there, but I'm telling you that's the reason I don't say that in this, because I'm not looking at their page. Now, if you're someone and your personality is you're looking at their page, and you do think they have cute kids, and you do think whatever, let them know. I'm not saying you can't put that in there. I'm saying don't put it in there if it doesn't apply to you. Don't put it in there just because someone said to put it in a script. So, hey, I know you don't know, hey Susan, I know you don't know me, but you've popped up in my feed several times. I figured I'd reach out. I teach other women how to make extra income from their social media. Would you be open to taking a look at what I do? You're not telling them you think they'd be great at it. You don't know them. Realistically, you cannot tell by someone's social media if they'll be great at this or not. Every leader that says that you can also turns around and says, don't prejudge a book by its cover. So the doublespeak is real, and I've seen lots of leaders in and out of this company say that. You can't tell by their social media if they're going to be great or not. You just simply ask, would you be open at taking a look? And then you always end with, if not, totally fine. You're giving them an out. You're not spammy. You're not salesy. You're simply saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. Are you open? If so, awesome. If not, okay, next. Move on. Not a big deal. Now, that's how I do it. Again, if your leader is telling you to do something or you are doing something that's working, do it. Again, I'm not ever going to tell somebody to stop doing what they're doing if they're seeing results with it. Now, here's the reason I don't lead with host-to-post. A couple reasons. First off, everyone and their mom, every company is now doing host-to-post. They might call it something else. Most of them are super spammy, super long, very me focused when you get the message. I know because I get dozens of them on the daily. I've got almost 14,000 followers on my Instagram. It is a non-network marketing Instagram. It's all about homeschool. So most people don't even know I'm with network marketing when they're cold messaging because, again, I just told you, we don't typically scroll through profiles. So I'm getting, and I get the message from It Works people too, but I get it from everyone and their mom. So the reason you're not getting a lot of responses from your host-to-post when it's super long and a little bit on the spammy side is because they're getting it from everybody. Now, again, didn't say it didn't work, but one thing you want to make sure that you're doing is that you are not messaging only focused on yourself. Meaning you're not asking people to help you hit your goal, to help your family, to help get your promotion, to help get your bonus. Realistically, the person on the other end could not give two craps about your bonus. They're worried about their own paycheck from their own job and how they're feeding their own family. So you always want to make sure that you are focusing on the person that you're messaging and you're adding some kind of value. So like I said, check out the board. I did put it in there. That actually is number 3. Point number 3 is be value driven. So value driven, again, it's what can I, the distributor, do for you, my prospect. So if I'm going to lead with the distributor message, like what I just read you, I'm telling you, I can help you make extra money. Are you open? I'm not saying, hey, I need 2 more spots for my team. I think you'd be great at this. Do you want to join? Because you're making it all about you. You want it to be all about the other person. Now, if you're going to lead with host-to-post, and I realize I told you I don't, but I know some of you, it doesn't matter what I say. You want to lead with host-to-post, and that's fine. This is your business. At the end of the day, you get to run it exactly how you want to run it. So a couple tips, if you're going to lead with host-to-post, I would just simply say, hey, quick question, or hey, Janine, quick question, or hey, Janine, can I ask you a question, or hey, Janine, I got a question for you. Short, sweet, simple, to the point. I wouldn't give them any information. Get them to respond. At the very least, even if they don't want to post for you, it automatically helps your algorithm because they responded. And majority of people are going to respond because all you're doing is saying, hey, can I ask you a quick question? Now, they're not going to respond if you say, hey, can I ask you a quick question? And they go to your page and it's all It Works stuff. If they can tell that you're with a network marketing company, probably not responding to you. I'm just going to give you a heads up on that when you're saying, hey, quick question. So what I would do is say, hey, quick question, and then this is all in the host-to-post, or all in the first contact board. As soon as they say what, or yes, or sure, or whatever they respond, I say, would you like in the drawing we're having for an $800 cash prize? Fill it in with whatever amount of money that you guys are doing. We do several cash drawings each month for products in cash. This one is cash. I'll give you a simple post to put up on your wall, and then you'll enter the drawing, or then you'll be entered in the drawing. So I'm saying, hey, do you want to enter this? I'm not saying, hey, help me hit my promotion. Hey, help me hit my bonus. Again, I'm making it about them. Now, at the end of the day, it's still about you. You're messaging because you want them to give you free advertisement on their page. And most people have caught on to that. Now, I love host-to-post. I'm still doing host-to-post, but I do it as a follow-up or as a giveaway. I don't do it as a first contact. So I'm not at all bashing host-to-post. I'm just telling you I get more leads. And from my experience, my team is getting more leads by not doing it as first contact. But if you're going to do it as first contact, you want to keep it to about a paragraph, not longer than that. You don't want to have a bunch of emojis, and you want it to be value-driven. You do not want it to look spammy. Now, last thing I want to give you in regards to cold messaging, and then we're going to flip and go over to the motivation side of things. Let me check and make sure no one's waiting to try to get in a Zoom, because like I said, my Zoom did not do what it was supposed to. Okay. So, you want to track your numbers. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. You have to track your numbers. Now, I'm going to be honest, y'all. When I ask somebody what their numbers are and they tell me, oh, I've messaged about this many people responded, or they give me like a 5 to 10 number window, I don't know, like 10 to 15 responded back no, or 25 to 30, that's a red flag that they don't know their numbers. It's a red flag that they did not track, and now they're trying to guess real quick because I asked for a number. Guys, if you don't know your numbers, you have no idea what your actual stats are. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that in a very tough love way. Unless you can show me a piece of paper and you actively have been tracking for the last 30 days or more, you don't know your stats. You are going off of an emotion because you feel like no one is messaging you back or everyone is telling you no. And when people use words like no one, everybody, all I'm getting is negative. Again, it's a red flag that the mindset is the issue, not necessarily what people are actually responding. Pick one message, commit to it for 30 days. I don't care if it's product, customer, or product, business, or host to post. Pick one, do the message for 30 days, and actually track it. Now, here's what you've got to track. You've got to track exactly how many people you sent that message to. Now, also, make a note. Was it a first contact? Was it used as a follow-up? Was it somebody who commented on a post about the giveaway or about the product? So, you got to know how many exactly, not a ballpark, exactly how many did you send in that 30-day window? How many responded? I don't care how many didn't respond or how many you think saw it. Realistically, you don't know who saw it, because even if their little picture is beside it, all that means is the notification popped up on their phone. I know because my husband's notifications pop up on his phone. I have mine shut off. And his, half the time it shows a check mark, half the time it shows a little head by him. He didn't open it. It literally popped up on his phone. He swiped because he was at work and didn't want to see it. And it showed that he read it because he swiped it on his phone. So when he opened his actual messenger, he never even realized that there was an unread message because he'd already swiped it on the phone. Majority of people have their notifications turned on. Notifications meaning it comes to their home screen. I'm not talking about notifications on Messenger in the app. I'm talking about on the actual phone. So most of the time, when it shows that they read it and didn't respond, they did not even really read it. They either swiped it on a phone or swiped it on an Apple Watch, or I guess an Android Watch too. But, so we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on, out of how many you sent, how many actually responded. And then you're going to put them in two categories. Out of those responses, how many said no thank you, and how many said yes? Either yes that they would post or yes you could give them info. I'm not saying you sealed the deal with them. I'm saying they just initially said a positive response. And then you're going to go one step further, and all the people that said yes, they'll post for you, how many actually posted? All the people that said yes, you can give them some info, how many actually joined as a distributor or actually joined as a customer? Guys, I know this is like the nitty-gritty green stuff that nobody likes to do, but you have no idea what area you're really lacking in until you know your stats. Now, here's what's going to happen. If you send and you get a very small amount of people to open and respond to your message, it means your message sucks. It's probably too long, they didn't even read it, or it looks very spammy, lots of emojis, they literally swiped and didn't give it a second thought. Now, if you get a lot of people to respond, but they all say no, your page probably sucks. You need to work on branding, or you are too spammy and you have it works all over your page. Basically, they want to see that you're adding value to your community. Even just positive quotes all over the place doesn't really do it anymore because, again, everyone and their mom does it. The network marketing industry has completely done a 360 or a 180, I don't know even what the term is. Since I started, it is no longer about selling, and it's all about value, value, value. It used to be the positivity, rainbows and sunshine. Those were the people that got a lot of sales, or the people that did tons and tons of giveaways and had tons and tons of followers. Now, people like me with a mediocre audience, and I am thankful for every single one of them, but I don't have a huge audience. I don't have, 50 to 100,000 subs. People like me can make really good money because I'm constantly adding value, and that's what I turn around and teach my clients and my team how to do. Now, the good news is if you're getting a lot of response, but they're all saying no, your message is at least short and non-spammy, so they're at least reading it. What they're probably doing is then going over to your page, and if it's spammy, they're like, oh no, she's trying to get me to buy something. I don't want to do that. Or, again, maybe you're non-existent on social media, so they think you might be a scammer, so they're just responding to be polite. Now, if you get a lot of responses, and a lot of them say yes, they at least let you in the door. You probably have a decent page. Your message is decent. The problem is if you have a small percentage of the close, the conversation sucks. Now, I say sucks because I say sucks a lot. It sounds harsher than it actually is, but I'm just telling you, that's what the reality is. This is where you want to make sure you are screenshotting full conversations to your enrollers. Don't delete anything, guys. I don't care if you get disappointed that somebody backed out or didn't want it or whatever. Deleting it doesn't do anything. Don't dwell on it, but don't delete it. So that way you can screenshot your enroller and they can help you walk through the close. Now, I will tell you, just the fact that you were willing to ask that question, and Tessa, I see you on here. I know you were the one that asked in the actual chat. And I commend you for that because, like I said, I had 6 other people message me almost immediately that probably would have never messaged or reached out if they thought they were the only one struggling with that. So you have helped those 6 plus their teams and anyone else who is going to watch this and accidentally get the information. So first off, I want to say if you're willing to ask the question, clearly you're willing to put in the work because you're out doing the messaging. And I'm saying that to Tessa, I'm saying that to anyone who's out messaging and just getting discouraged because people aren't responding. So that's huge. Like, you absolutely have what it takes to be successful in this business because you're willing to put in the work. Messaging isn't fun, guys. I don't like it. Like I said, I found out a way to do a lead magnet because I didn't want to message anymore. But at the end of the day, if I don't have enough leads coming in, I'm also not too proud to message because I know it works. I also want to say the fact that you specifically reached out and kind of like outed yourself, so to speak, tells me you're coachable and you're willing to change the things that needed to be changed so you can be successful with this. So having a work ethic is not something that we can teach you. And then there's tons of people that have a work ethic, but they're too proud to change what they're being told to change because in their mind, oh, well, I know just as good as that person, and they won't change. They say they're coachable, but at the end of the day, they don't implement the things we tell them to implement. So the fact that you are also coachable and you're asking for help tells me that you have the 2 things that we cannot teach you to have. So with that, everything else is skill and mindset. And you are in full control of those 2 things. Yes, it may take a little while, but you have what it takes. So keep pushing. And I'm saying that again to you, Tessa, obviously, because you asked, but anybody who's watching this and anybody who is feeling discouraged with the messaging process, if you have the work ethic to do it, which you obviously do, or you want to be doing it, and then you are coachable, you got what it takes. So I want to switch gears into the motivation and a little bit of money, the money side of things, because with this business, when you get good at it, it does come a lot of money. And with a lot of money comes a lot of responsibility, and some people like me don't do well with that in the beginning. And I'm just going to be totally vulnerable with you with this because I was one of those people that I started making money and I started spending just as much money. Like Mark and Mike, they used to always talk about not upping your lifestyle just because you were getting these big bonuses. Well, I didn't listen to that. I definitely was out buying things I had no business buying because, oh, look, I'm making money. I'm like an idiot. So I want to talk about staying motivated, and we're going to trickle some money. I would say financial advice, but I'm not a financial expert, so my experience is what we're going to talk about. So I want to talk about the 3 stages of business. When you're new and you're making no money, I want to explain how to stay motivated with that. When you're in the middle and you're you checked off a few things off your dream board, some small things, but you're pretty far from the big things, how to stay motivated with that. And then I don't want to say at the end because you never arrive, but when you start checking a lot of things off your dream board, it can almost be like, well, where do I go now? Like, what keeps me wanting to get up and work? So I'm going to kind of show what I have found just in the last few months, how to stay motivated in that season as well. So when you're brand new and you are not making any money, first off, I did link in the comment section below step by step exactly how to make money in this. So there is a full training process for you. Go through that, make the money, because we all want you to make money. But in the beginning, sometimes it is going to be challenging to stay motivated because you are showing up. So first off, every category starts with making a dream board. And I know I'm blue in the face. It's been said so many times, but make a dream board. And you want to have big things and small things on there. This is a huge mistake I made in the beginning. I only did the big things it's crucial that you have $100 items or less on your dream board that you can focus on and start checking off. Now, if you're new and you are, again, not making any money, yes, it's good to dream. Have a few things on your dream board that are kind of outlandish, but the majority of it, put attainable goals on there. Focus on one step up from your current lifestyle. So let's say you rent a home, and maybe on your dream board you have owning a home. Now, if you rent a home and you have bad credit and you're in a lot of debt, probably the first thing you're going to check off your dream board is not a $12 million mansion. Maybe your goal is to buy a $200,000 house. Okay, so, and even that might be a stretch. Maybe it's $100,000, $150,000, depends on where you live. Maybe you have an old car that's barely making it to the kids' school and back. Your first thing on your dream board probably is not to buy a $65,000 car. It's probably going to be to buy a modest car that runs, that maybe you don't have very big payments for. Maybe you feel like all your clothes are frumpy. A goal on there could be getting some professional clothes, spending a little bit of money on yourself. So you want to choose, and you want to choose what you're happy with, not just settling. There's nothing wrong with driving an old beater. There's nothing wrong with renting a house. I don't want anyone to watch this and feel like we're renting an apartment right now, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But you want to make sure that the circumstances that you have and the things that you have and the lifestyle that you have, it's because you're choosing them, not because you're settling. Maybe you're like, I don't want to look professional. Like, I like my sweatpants and baggy t-shirts. If you're choosing it, rock it. If you're wearing those because you can't afford clothes that fit you and that look a little bit more professional, I don't want to say nicer, because again, nice is a relative term, I think is what I'm looking for. Obviously, I'm in like a hoodie right now because I like them. But if you're doing that just because you can't afford more professional clothes, there's a difference, if that makes sense. So, again, a few outlandish things. Learn to dream, but also learn to set realistic, attainable goals that you can work on and like bust your butt and get in the next 12 to 18 months as well. And then some that are smaller, but all the goals should be ones that you can build upon. So, let's say you're brand new and your pain point is you're drowning in debt and you can't pay your bills. I'm talking about you are one of the people that joined this. You had to rob Peter to pay Paul in order to get that $100 or $150 startup kit. One of your first goals that you can put on your dream board, pay groceries for a week. A week's worth of food, I'm guessing, it's probably going to be anywhere from like $75 to $1.50, depending on what you're eating and how many kids you have. So maybe one of your first goals is just paying groceries for a week. Maybe a goal is paying the insurance for a month. Our insurance, I think, is like $1.25. So again, about $100 goals. Those are going to be your big goals in the beginning. And that's what's going to motivate you, is getting to see those goals being checked off. Gas for the week. I don't even know how much gas is where you're at. We just moved from right outside Chicago to Indiana, right outside Chicago in Indiana to South Carolina. Y'all, gas is like $1.50 cheaper per gallon here. I didn't even know that. Like, we got here and I was like, whoa, it's under $5 a gallon. What the heck? So depending on where you're at, gas for a week might be a lot. And then when you hit those, your next goal is going to be groceries for 2 to 3 weeks, car insurance and your car payment, gas for 2 to 3 weeks. Once you start hitting those consistently, groceries for a month, everything for the car. I can pay gas, I can pay insurance, I can pay the payment, and oh look, maybe my goal now is I want to pay the mortgage, or again, I want to pay rent. I want to put this much down for savings. Don't up your cost of living. If your pain point, the reason you started this because you were drowning in debt and you cannot pay your bills, when the money starts coming in, make sure you focus on paying the bills and getting out of debt. Here's what's going to happen. If the money's coming in and you're spending it on foolish things because, oh, I deserve this. I worked so hard. I deserve this new purse. You and your spouse are going to get frustrated with this business because what you're working for, supposedly, you're not spending the money on. Now here, I have a lot of leaders that disagree with me on this, and that's okay, but this is one reason I'm not an advocate for pressuring my downline to run auto ships. Guys, an auto ship, yes, you should be a product of the product, but you need to use a product. You don't need to use $100 of product every single month. If you can, go for it. I love our products. I think they're awesome. I use a lot of them right now. When I started, I used the greens every single month. That was it. Now, this wasn't my pain point. I was fitting more into category 2 and 3, and I'll tell you that in a minute. But I knew I wasn't spending an extra $100, $150 on product. So, okay, having said all of that, focus on paying the bills. That is why you started this. But for me, fun things motivate me. I am not motivated by the fact that I can put groceries on the table. Listen, that might make me a bad mom. Drop me a 2 if you're like, okay, that's awesome that I can pay my bills, but like that doesn't keep me wanting to get up and show up for work. That doesn't make you a bad person. That means you're human. I like to shop. Here's what I did. I set aside 10% of everything I made with this company to buy whatever the heck I wanted to buy. And that's what I honestly would suggest you doing. So if you bring in $100, you can spend $10 on yourself and set $10 goals at that point. Because $100 in the beginning, that's challenging to hit. We talk about it now like, oh, it's just $100. You know, that's so easy to grab. Yes, it's easy to us because we've been doing it. In the beginning, I remember how hard it was to consistently make those extra $100. So I want to meet you where you're at and tell you it's okay to make the really, really small goals in the $10 increments. And then beyond that, know exactly where your money is going. I did link the Boss Mom planner below. I have the budgeting sheets in there if you want to take a look at them. You can do it on paper as well. You don't have to order anything fancy. You can literally, I don't have one in front of me, but you can use like a 25-cent notebook from the back to school section. You want to know where your money's going. The 2 things you want to keep track of is how much money your business is bringing in. Oh, sorry, 3 things. How much money your business is bringing in. And then you want to keep track of how much money you're spending on the business. Now, realistically, you shouldn't be spending any money on the business if you don't have any money. Again, grab a product after your first month or 2. You have some in your starter kit to start out with. You shouldn't need anything beyond that for the first month or 2, and then you're making a little money. You don't have to run the $20 e-suite. I didn't run mine for the first 6 months. My husband still doesn't run his because I just run everything off his account, or my account. So when he's signing people up, I just look at them in my back office. Now, I'm not telling you you can't run it. I'm saying if you really are that broke, you don't have to run those things. You can run your business for $0 a month, and you can stay commission qualified because we now do the 4-in-1 system. So all the customers that you're bringing in, that's okay. I think you might have hit that by accident. All the numbers that you're bringing, all the customers you're bringing in, that counts towards that 150 BV to be commission qualified. So realistically, you don't have to buy anything. Now, I say that again. I told you I was going to be super transparent. In 2019, so actually in 2020, but we filed our 2019 taxes. We got our statements, and I got my 1099, and my husband got his W-2, and we looked through them, and he got his 1099 as well, because again, he's also with It Works. We looked through them and came to the conclusion that we had $14,000 missing out of our accounts. That's a lot of money. Well, to some of y'all, it's probably not a lot of money. To us, that's a lot of money. And we looked through all, we figured up all the bills and everything that we'd spent. Yeah, the money was just gone. It was on foolish things. I know. Guys, I'm just being transparent with you. Again, I'm going to tell you the category I joined in a minute. But up until 2019, we didn't really have any extra money. And then because of this business, all of a sudden, we had quite a bit of extra money. So we were spending things like, we upped our cost of living a lot. We were spending things like, here we are, going out to eat more, hanging out with friends all the time, constantly picking up the bill because we had extra money so we could, buying toys for my kid that she didn't need, but I was really trying to spoil her, which I didn't need to, but again, whole psychology thing, whole growing up with trauma thing, it was a whole thing. I was buying lots of clothes and shoes, lots of shopping trips. I joke about being a shopaholic, but for a while I actually was. And here's the thing, in 2019, my husband and I were both getting a little frustrated with this business because I felt like I was putting in a lot of work. My husband was seeing me put in a lot of work, yet we weren't growing. Our accounts were staying the same. Now, realistically, we were growing. We brought in substantially more money that year than we did in 2018, and we have every year since then. But it doesn't matter how much you bring in if you're not keeping it. And that's where I wanted to be like real and transparent with this, because you have to make sure you know where your money is going, every penny of it. That is going to help you stay motivated. Now, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that my money habits were directly linked to my motivation, but they were. Now, this is where we decided to start setting those goals of fun money to spend on ourselves. So in 2020, I lived and died by this. I didn't die by this, but that's a saying that I guess just popped in my head. So I set like $10 to $50 goals. And some small ones that I set were like Victoria's Secret lip gloss. I really like their menthol. They're like 12 bucks a tube. Journaling pens. I love journaling. And they have like, listen, you can spend a lot of money on journaling things. Bible study books, shoes, basically whatever I wanted, right? So if you're new, do the $10 goals. If you're making money, and you can do 10% of basically what you make in a week. So when I was bringing in an extra $500 a week, my goal was 50, or my reward, I guess, was 50. If I was bringing in an extra $1,000 a week, my goal was, or my reward was 1,000, or was 100. When I started bringing in 2,000 a week, my reward was 200. So you kind of set the goals based on what you're bringing in. And again, you don't have to do this, but I will say in 2020, we lived by this. And when our statements came in 2020, we did not have $14,000 missing. That was awesome. But I needed the instant gratification. I really did. Yes, we had big goals and we had things that we were working for, but it didn't keep me motivated just seeing our bank account grow. Now, my husband's the opposite. He is absolutely motivated by seeing our savings grow. So when he sees those numbers going up, that's what motivates him. Y'all, I don't give two craps about that. Like, I know it's important in the long run, but I want to see, like, I want things. And I want to be able to spend money and not feel guilty about it. We come from two totally different backgrounds. So different things are going to motivate you, and then different seasons, things are going to motivate you differently. 2021 to 2022, we made the conscious decision to do a lot of traveling, and we did spend a lot of money, but we chose to do it. The money wasn't missing. We made a budget. We made a plan. We did spend a fair amount of money, but we did it on things that we wanted to. We made tons of memories. Obviously, I didn't say, not obviously, but we did buy our first house also in 2020. So one of my goals, like I just told y'all, maybe you're renting and your goal is to buy a house. We bought a house in 2020. And now we just moved across the country. We are in the closing process of our house. Praise Jesus. We did get a very high offer, which I'm super excited about. So we're in like the pending, I think, phase. My husband's texting me probably saying, how long I need to go to bed? Yep, okay. So we moved across the country and we chose to move into an apartment because we don't like the maintaining of a house. Guys, we're borderline lazy. I'm just going to be honest with you there. And right now we're entering savings mode again. So we're entering into that living off the 10% of the fund money, and the rest of it is going into accounts. Our bills are quite a little bit lower. I won't say quite a bit. They're a little bit lower here than they were back right outside when we were living near Chicago, because we don't have a house anymore. We don't have the maintenance of a house. We were paying a housekeeper and somebody to take care of the yard and different things that we didn't want to do. So our bills are a little bit lower. Our income's a little bit higher this year, which is awesome, because every year you're growing just a little bit. So now we are focused on that savings account, and we are focused on that growing. And we are living in a really awesome place. There's a reason we chose to live where we do. So a lot of the money we were spending on entertainment, we're not spending, because I've got a pool literally in my front yard, not my backyard. It's like right outside the door. We've got a gym here. We've got a clubhouse that has like all of the fun games and game systems and what, I don't even know what's over there. There's a lot of cool things. So we won't be going out and doing a lot of things right away, because now we get to do the stuff here in our own home. And again, I use the word home because it feels like our home, not because we actually own it. So if you're new and the pain point is that you started this because you were drowning and in debt and you couldn't pay your bills, I hope those tips help you. Now, if you're new and you're not making any money yet and your pain point is you're broke, broke just means all your bills are paid, but you have no extra money. That literally is what broke means. People tend to think that broke is the drowning in debt part. Broke typically means you're like one emergency away of being screwed. Now, this is kind of, we were a little bit above broke, I guess, when we started this. We had a rainy day fund, but it wasn't very large. And when you're starting at this pain point, your dream board is going to be full of fun things. Because you're not focused on making the extra money to pay your bills. You're focused on making the extra money to do the fun things that you want to do with your family and with your kids. And again, sprinkle in the big goals, have a lot of $100 or less goals that you can check off. Now, talk with your spouse, because you may be starting this thinking, oh, I'm going to have some fun money. He may be thinking, oh, good, she's starting this so we can put some money in savings and she can help pay some of the bills so I can not be quite as stressed. Have the open line of communication and make sure he's okay with you spending it as fun money, because you may be thinking one thing, he may be thinking something else. So, and again, when I say fun things, I'm saying fun things for the family. I don't know many spouses that you're going to start something like this, take time away from the family and time away from the husband, and just spend all your money on shopping. So when I say fun things, I am thinking like community fun things, not just you all for yourself. So it's going to be a dream board that possibly your whole family is involved in. Same rule, put all of your money toward your goal, except 10% to yourself for that instant gratification. I promise you, those little things that you get to buy without any guilt, and again, communication, guys. I told my husband, now he laughed about it, he didn't understand it, but he at least understood what I was doing. I told him, I said, hey, I'm motivated by shopping. I'm motivated by getting to like buy the things that I want to buy from the fact that I'm working so freaking hard. And he didn't understand it, but he was fully on board with me spending 10% on myself. Now, just a side note, we do tithe. We do believe in 10% to God first. So I don't even count that on here. Like I don't count it at all because we don't count it as ours. So let's just say I make $1,000 this week. 100 of that is already God's. Like I don't even count that in there. So realistically, I made 900 this week. And then I look at, okay, taxes take 25%. Now, give or take a little. I don't give any tax advice. Talk to your tax consultant, but you do want to save money for taxes. Make sure you're doing that. So that's another $250, which leaves me with $650. So $650 is the number that I base my 10% on. So $65 I get to spend on me, $585 I put toward my goal. And I hope that math adds up. I did this while we were at the pool earlier, so we'll see. Now, if you don't have $100 goals, you say, okay, Tanya, I started this for fun money. We are broke. I want to do family vacations. The first thing I want to do is take my kids to Disney. No ifs, ands, or buts. I don't want to spend money on anything small. Totally fine. You still want to spend 10% on you or your family. I mean, I'm not saying it has to be you. Take them out for ice cream, go to the movies, buy a special game, whatever. But something that's instant gratification that they're seeing and that you're seeing, it's going to motivate your whole family. And then put the rest of the money toward the goal, but break it up. For example, I just took, or not just, this was like a year ago. In my mind, it just happened. It was a year ago. My husband, my daughter, and my mother-in-law to Disney. Now, we just did a one-day thing. We didn't have a lot of time, but we spent $650 on, and look all this up, guys. Like, figure out exactly how much you need. $650 on tickets, $500 for the 2 nights Airbnb, $500 for gas. We drove, so gas. And I think, if I'm thinking right, it was like right at the height of all the gas stuff. $400 for food just the day that we were there. And I get you can get it cheaper, but I just Googled to see like what menu prices were and I based it off that. I'd rather have more than less. And then I wanted the Genie Pass, so I spent $40 to get the Fast Pass basically for all of us. Here's what I would do if that's your goal and you're new. Get a poster board, focus on the smallest one first, which would be the Genie Pass. Do 4 $10 squares, and when you make $10, you color in one of the squares. Or when you put $10 towards that actual goal. Put the money in an account, don't touch it. Your kids are going to see those boards filling up. And then when you're done with that, you're going to get another board, and you're going to do the squares for a different one of the small items that you just broke your Disney trip up into. And you're also going to talk about it on social media. You're going to tell people what you're saving up for. You're going to show a boomerang of you coloring in a square. You're going to, I don't know, show your kids putting stickers on a chart. However, you're keeping track of it. So yes, it's motivation. It's also attraction marketing. So you're killing two birds with one stone. Now, I made the mistake of only having big things. Actually, I had one big thing. My big thing is I wanted to have more time. I wanted to stay home and be a paid stay-at-home mom. That's all I wanted with this business. Now, I started out small. I shouldn't say I made the mistake right away, because at first, I did have a goal of $200 a month, because that meant I didn't have to work as many weekends. That was my goal. As soon as I hit that, I immediately jumped to the goal of, oh, I want to do this full time. And that was like the only thing I was focused on. My husband and I, if you don't know my story, we had really good jobs. We both enjoyed our jobs. I still look back and enjoy my job. Like I wouldn't mind going back and doing that again if it had the flexibility that this one does. But my pain point was time. I was burning the candle at both ends, and I wanted to spend more time with my family. Simple as that. So, in the beginning, I did a crap ton of cold messaging, and I kind of alluded to that at the beginning of this. I busted my butt. It took 9 months to replace my income, but I was burning the candle at both ends, and I was frustrated. I wasn't consistent. My motivation wasn't consistent. Therefore, my work was not consistent. Even when I replaced my income, it would drop and up and down, and it felt like I was taking 25 steps backwards and 26 steps forward. I was constantly redoing because I was not smart. In addition to that, the money I was bringing in, guys, I didn't start the business for bill money. I started it for time, which meant all the money coming in was extra until I hit the point where I replaced my income, and then it became bill money, because then the money I was making just became my income. At the end of those 9 months, when I replaced my income, I should have had a decent amount of money in the bank. And instead, I had nothing in the bank because I wasted all that money. So I was getting frustrated with the business because I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. But in reality, I was spending the money as fast as it was coming in. So if your pain point is time, your bills are already covered. Maybe you have some vacation, but you don't have any time for yourself, your family, whatever. Like whatever you want extra time for, your dream board should have things on there that you would do if you had time. And it doesn't have to be like the big fun vacation. It can be, but like leisure activities. Time to just sit and read for a whole day. Let me tell you, I do that now, and I purposely schedule in those days, and it's amazing. I love being able to sit by the pool or sit on my... Back home, I would sit on the couch in the winter and watch the snow fall over our big picture window. Not going to be doing that now because I don't think it's going to snow much down here. Game time with my husband and my daughter, not having to worry about anything. Movie dates, not having to schedule them around my job. Just time to work out. There was a time in my life I didn't even have time to go to the gym because I was so busy. I was burning the candle at both ends. So, if you want more time, you have to replace something. If you are at the max now and you're adding this business in because you want more time, one, it's going to suck. It's going to suck for a while. I'm just going to be real with you. You probably are the hardest ones because you really don't have time to do this business, but you know that's why you have to do the business. And that's exactly where I was. I was fully at that pain point. Now, having said all of that, the first 9 months did suck, and I didn't make it any easier because I didn't make good choices. But no, so two things with that. Know that the money is extra, which means follow the formula I laid out, 10% to yourself, well, 10% to God, 10% to yourself, your taxes, that kind of stuff, and then put the money away. Let's say you make an average, you make $12,000 that first year just working part-time, which I can tell you my first year I made a lot more than that. So it's absolutely doable even with a full-time job. That's $12,000. Even if you did not replace your income, that's still enough money to now take that to the next year, pay a house cleaner, pay somebody to outsource some of your meals. If you are in charge of the yard, pay somebody to do some of the yard. Not saying it covers everything, but that right there buys you back some time, which is why you started in the first place. Now, let's see. Second thing is have a clear goal. When you say you want time, are you wanting to do this full time? Do you want to replace your income? And if so, that's awesome, but make that a goal. Or are you just wanting to outsource some things? Maybe you love your job. Maybe like my mother-in-law, for example, she has some health issues that she could not do without insurance. Like her stuff would cost upwards of $9,000 per month without the insurance that she has. But someone like that could definitely do this and replace like their house cleaning and that kind of stuff. So have a clear goal. I'm just going to break some numbers down for you. Let's say your goal is to replace your income and you make $50,000 a year before taxes. And I realize it's not a lot of money, but I know looking at like the median income in the U.S. for women, especially moms, that's a fair statement to say. $50,000 before taxes, plus you got to figure in the fact that you got about $7,200 that you're going to be paying for insurance because you're going to be in a private insurance somewhere, and that's probably conservative. It might be a little more than that. And then $6,000, I don't know. Oh, for like a 401k type program. So we're figuring in the benefits in this as well, which means you need to replace about $63,000 for the year. So let's just focus on making the money and keeping it, not replacing it. It's hard to make your goal replacing it and actually like physically check that off, but you can make your goal making it, and then I'm going to show you how that compounds and it turns into you did replace your income. So we're just going to say your first year you made $1,000 a month, and then you up that by $500 a month each year. Year 1 you made $12,000, year 2 you made $18,000, $324,000, $430,000, $584,000. That means at the end of year 5, you have $20,000 more in the bank than you need to live comfortably for an entire year on the same level of living that you already have. Now, you could say, because your income's not replaced at that point, you could say, okay, awesome, I've worked part-time, I have that amount of money in the bank, and this is what I want to do. I want to quit my job an entire year. I'm just going to focus on the business. I'm going to work my butt off so at the end of the year I can have it replaced. Or you can do like I did. I did not quit my job until I completely replaced my income. My level of security was not there. And that's fine. Like, I'm a green, so I'm a numbers person. I did not trust this business to carry me through. I'm thankful it did, but I didn't trust it to. So maybe you want to replace it before you leave. Everyone does it their own way. If you kept going $500 extra per month per year, so that means every year you move up $500 per month, year 8, you replace your income if you're making $50,000 before taxes and you're figuring in benefits. Guys, 8 years working part-time on social media, replacing your income. You're like, 8 years is a lot. Yeah, it is a lot. And in 8 years, you're still going to be working at your job, having no time if you do nothing else. So why not? And that's kind of the pep talk I had to give myself. Obviously, not making income claims. I'm just breaking down the numbers on the paper. This has nothing to do with It Works money. I know I have seen my income more than $500 a month per year, so I'm just telling you from my experience. Now, stay motivated and consistent. Otherwise, you're always going back and forth. If you don't consistently stay motivated and you don't consistently put the work in, you're not going to replace your income. You're not going to replace any income, and probably you're not going to stay very long in this business, or you're going to constantly be starting over. I had to start over 2 times. 2 dang times, basically starting over. Now, I was so grateful for the fast start bonuses and the different like little bonus structures they give, because you can be fully reliant on your income without a team. But it's much easier and it's much more fun with a team working alongside people that have the same goal that you have. So just giving you that as well. Again, in the link in the description, I put in there the roadmap on how to make money if you're brand new. So that is how I would stay motivated as a brand new person. Now, the middle person, you're checking some small things off. Not big things yet. You're pretty far away from those. You've been in the company for a while and you're starting to feel frustrated. Decide to make your big goals into smaller chunks so you can see them being checked off. So basically, guys, and we already covered that, I'm not going to go super into it, but your brain's going to automatically look at the small goals and think, oh wow, I can easily do that. I've already been doing $100 goals. And before you know it, you've hit the big goals. But again, guys, I can't say it enough. Know where your money's going. Most of our goals have something to do with income and your transition of money somewhere. You have to know where your money's going so you can not only make it, but you can keep it so you can turn around and exchange it for a goal. Now, it's tricky when you hit that next level where a lot of your goals are checked off, and you're like, okay, now what's going to motivate me, because I've already hit a lot of these dream boards. And I'll be honest, Brett and I are there now. I had the conversation with him just last night, and I told him, I was like, I am a little nervous about making myself, or not nervous about making myself, I'm nervous if I'm going to have the discipline to show up and work every day, because we're in that sweet spot of kind of not having to worry about money. And I realize that is a very privileged place to be on, and I'm so excited for it. Like, we have not been to this level of security in a very long time. No, I don't, actually, just kidding. We've never been there. He has been there with his parents. I've never been there. We've never been there as a couple. And it's because we've been working our butt off for the last 7 years, both with this company and without this company. But we're at the point where all the goals on our dream board that I had 7 years ago, and I literally looked at this morning, they've either been checked off or deleted because we realized we didn't want them. And it's okay, by the way, I'm giving you permission, not that I need to give you permission. Give yourself permission. You don't have to have everything on that dream board, especially if you made the dream board and did not have a good understanding of money. Me. For example, the things that we've checked off. Disney trip, me doing this full time, lots and lots of traveling. And by the way, one of the things on my dream board was getting an RV and traveling around the country. After spending the last 1.5 to 2 years traveling and living out of hotels, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I am good with that dream. Somebody else can have the RV life. Being a homeschool speaker, being a network marketing speaker, those were 2 things that were not money related that I really wanted to do. I love teaching and I love coaching, and I've been able to do that over the last year, and I absolutely love it. And I'm going to continue doing that. Being a homeowner, also realized, not for us, because again, we don't really like the maintenance. Some things that we decided not to check off. So my husband wanted a 12-bedroom house. Y'all heard me, 12 bedrooms, with a giant pool in the backyard and a place where we could entertain people. We realized real quick, just having a 3-bedroom house and not a pool in the backyard, but a really big fenced-in nice yard, how much time and money it takes to maintain that, and that life is not for us. Instead, and I told y'all I would talk about this real quick, when we decided to move out to South Carolina, we had the real conversation of, are we going to go buy a house real quick? And both of us immediately were like, no, don't really want to. Instead, we found some luxury apartments, and I use the term luxury because they do. They're really nice, but they're not like, $5,000 a month apartments. They're just really nice apartments. It has the big pool. It has the grilling area. It has the entertaining area. And we don't have to pay for any of the upkeep. I guess we are during rent, but I don't know. It seems different. We don't have to do any of the work, and I love it. And then we just use the extra money to entertain people off of location and take them and do things. We had a Glory's birthday at Chuck E. Cheese this year. I spent, I think it was a $400 birthday party, and it was amazing. I'm going to tell you, it was the easiest birthday party I've ever thrown for my kid. It was the most expensive, but it was the easiest, and I would trade that money for time every single time. And that may not be your story, and it doesn't have to be. You might be that Pinterest mom that loves throwing over-the-top parties for your kid that don't break the budget, but you spend days and weeks and sometimes even months planning that party, and you are so proud of the way your house looks, and you just spend all the time and money doing all the things. Be proud of that. Live exactly how you want to live. That's part of this business. I'm telling you that's not for us, and we are living our dream life. I'm in my dream house right now. It's not even a house. I never thought I would say that until I just love these apartments. Another thing that was on my dream board was being a full-time family and having my husband come home. COVID taught us that we don't want to do that. He was home for a little bit, and no thank you. Neither one of us had fun. Listen, I love him and he loves me, but we're not cut out for that. Now, because of that, it made him have a whole new fire in his career, and that's what got him the promotion that transferred us out here. And because of my job, aka this one, I had not the spontaneity, I had the flexibility to up and be like, okay, moving, let's go. Didn't have to look for a job. It was awesome. Thank you for all the info. It really helped. Oh, absolutely. It does. Your perspective is really what is going to make or break in this business, because It is, like, people talk about all about mindset, but it really is. Another thing we had on there was a luxury car. I'm talking like an $80,000 to $100,000 car. Now, again, keep in mind, I had no concept of money or depreciation or anything like that, and realized now that we looked a little bit more into like investing and that kind of stuff, that we don't want to spend money on something like that. It's a complete waste of money in our opinion. And again, if you do it, do it. We do not judge anyone who lives a different lifestyle than us. We would prefer to spend the money on memories and convenience. And some of y'all look at me like I waste money because of the things that we buy to get more time. And that's fine, because again, we're different people. Part of this business is you get to spend your money on what you want to spend it on. I'm just telling you to track it so you don't get discouraged when you don't see the money growing because you're blowing it. So at least know where it's going. Right now, we're wanting to really jump into investing and learning how to make our money make money. And that's something that's a whole new world. Pray for us, because I also don't want to lose all of our money. So we're going to be real smart with that. But we are going to kind of jump into that world. And I'm excited to do some learning with that. So to stay motivated at this stage, and a lot of you guys, because I've talked to you, you have checked your big things off. You want to set goals outside of yourself. For us, giving and spoiling people, we love doing that. And that the way that we set goals now is we pick a family, we pick an activity or an item, and it doesn't have to be a family in need either. Maybe it's just a family we want to spoil. I can tell you we've had several times where we spoiled a family who didn't need it, but we felt like they deserved it because of the work they were putting into the community. And then we've also done families that we felt needed it, and God was using us to be a blessing. So it's both ways for sure. Set a money amount, and then again, start filling out a chart, just like if you're working on a Disney trip for yourself. So if it's something that motivates you when it comes to setting goals outside of yourself, you still want to kind of track it the same way and be able to see what you're checking off. Now, right before we left, I was able to take 2 teenagers back to school shopping. And what I did is with the 4-in-1, the success bonuses, the $4,000 ones, I've been able to consistently get those into my bank account. And I mean, that's pretty cool because it's 100% on the work that I'm doing. And so I knew I'd take one of those success bonuses. I knew I wasn't going to spend more than $4,000. So I just went into it with the mindset of I don't have a budget. I can buy whatever these kids need and want within reason. I told them, I was like, I'm not buying you $300 Jordans. Like, it's going to be stuff that's actually realistic. But I was able to buy there was a brother and sister. I was able to buy the girl a $60 pair of boots, and she fought me tooth and nail getting them. She's like, no, Miss Tanya. She's like, I don't, these are a lot too much money. I was like, no, buy the boots. Like, we're buying the boots. And she looked so good in them. They were so cute on her. But that was so fun. And we went out to eat and we did the fun things. We went shopping all day long. It was, me and the 2 girls had a lot of fun. The brother was kind of like, it's 3 o'clock. Can we go home now? I've got all my stuff. I'm like, nah, we still got a lot of shopping to do, boy. He's like, I thought all day was like till 3. No, all day's till like 10 o'clock at night. We're going to go till these stores close. And that was a goal that I had. And that was a goal that keeps me motivated, is being able to do stuff like that. And then the last thing I want to say with being motivated when you are checking off the big things and when you feel like you don't know what else to work for, enjoy what you have. Don't get into the trap of hustle, hustle, hustle to the next big thing and not enjoy the ones that you have, or you're going to eventually want to stop working because you never get that feeling of like gratitude for what you're doing. I would practice gratitude journaling. In the link that I put in the description, I know this has gone longer than normal, but again, this is all stuff that you guys have been asking for. In the link in description, I put in there the guide to journaling. So if you're new to journaling, go down there, grab the link, and go read up on how to journal. Gratitude journaling is something I would do. One thing on the pool is something that I love doing. Clearly, we spent all day there. Literally, we went out at 8 o'clock this morning, and with the exception of coming back to do a quick clean and grabbing dinner, we were there until right before this Zoom. So literally all day long. When I did my journaling, I sat out by the pool and just was so grateful for the fact that we have a freaking luxury spa-looking resort-style pool that we have access to 24/7. Maybe your goal was to be a stay-at-home mom, and now you finally are. Sit and do your gratitude journaling while you're watching your kids play and just soak in the fact that you are a stay-at-home mom because you put so much work into this. Maybe you did want that luxury car and you bought it. Maybe it wasn't luxury, you just bought a new car. Do your gratitude journaling with that car in view. Maybe sit by your window and look outside and say, okay, I freaking did it. I did that. So be grateful for what you have and actively be grateful for it. And then schedule time to enjoy it. Again, don't get caught up in the hustle mentality. You don't have to have the next bigger and best thing. You don't have to make $100,000 a month with this just because Stephanie and Joel do. Now, if that's your goal, go for it. But if you're like, you know, I'm making $7,000 a month. I'm making $3,000 a month. Shoot, I'm making $500 a month. And you're happy with that. Again, not settling, but happy. Like that is your goal. You hit it and you're done. Maintain that and enjoy the life that you have set up, or the extra, I don't know, $500 a month, the extra family trip you get to take each month. I don't know, whatever the thing is for you. And again, I did this. I'm fully living in that right now. I am back on a schedule. I am back to doing the Monday night meetups. I am back to doing coaching calls and all the things, but I'm also going to enjoy the life that we now have the privilege to live, because I have busted butt for 7 years and my husband has busted butt for 7 years, because it was not just me. We work as a really good team and we work a lot. And he got home tonight and we went swimming for a couple of hours and we just enjoyed each other's company and we played with our daughter. So just make sure that you are able to enjoy the goals that you're hitting. Let's see. I think that was all I have. Yes. So that's all I've got for you when it comes to staying motivated. I hope those tips helped. If you have anything you want to add, go ahead and drop them in the comments, and I will see y'all next Monday.